May 20, 1990, Flight X, a hulking cargo plane, roars into the heavens from a bustling airport, its engines humming with raw power, under skies so clear they shimmer like a poet's dream. At 18,000 feet, where the world below fades into a distant memory, a nightmare erupts. A crew member, a man once revered as a pilot, rips open a guitar case with trembling hands. Inside, no instrument awaits, only a spear gun, its steel tip glinting with malice, and a cluster of hammers, each one a promise of destruction. He's no ordinary passenger. He's a storm of vengeance, a predator cloaked in a flight engineer's uniform. His mission? To slaughter his own crew and transform this steel beast into a blazing missile hurtling toward an unthinkable catastrophe. Why would a man who once danced with the clouds unleash such chaos? What dark secret fuels his rage? The captain, David, a grizzled veteran with eyes like weathered steel, is caught mid-sentence as a hammer crashes into his skull. His ear dangles by a thread, blood streaming down his face like a crimson river. The first officer, James, a Navy ace with reflexes honed in dogfights, turns just as a second blow fractures his skull, fragments piercing his brain, paralyzing his right side in a creeping tide of numbness. The flight engineer, Andrew, a quiet genius who knows every bolt of this plane, gasps as a hammer severs his temporal artery, blood gushing onto the cockpit floor, pooling in a glossy scarlet lake. This isn't just an attack, it's a war waged in the heavens, a battle where the stakes are not just survival, but the soul of the sky itself. His name is Auburn, a man whose life once soared like the plane he now threatens. A Stanford scholar, he majored in African and African-American studies, his mind as sharp as the spear gun he now grips. He flew for the Navy, a pilot whose skill turned heads, a father whose laughter once filled a home, but the skies betrayed him. After leaving the military, he took a job as a flight engineer, not a pilot, believing he was cheated out of his rightful place. His pride, once a blazing star, was ground into dust. He stumbled, leaving him adrift in a sea of debt and despair. His two children, the light of his world, faced a future he couldn't afford. Then came the final blow. A disciplinary hearing loomed, accusing him of falsifying his flight hours. If fired, he'd lose everything. His kids' dreams, college, security, hope would vanish. In the shadows of his unraveling life, Auburn forged a sinister plan: crash the plane, mask it as an accident, and secure a $2.5 million insurance payout to etch his love for his children into eternity. Picture a young Auburn, standing tall in his Navy uniform, the ocean breeze tousling his hair as he grins at his wife, their two children giggling in a sunlit park. The frame shifts, his face hardens, sitting alone in a dim apartment, divorce papers scattered like fallen leaves. Bills pile up, each one a dagger to his pride. He stares at a photo of his kids, their smiles haunting him. At Stanford, he dreamed of changing the world. Now, he felt like a ghost in his own story. The company he worked for, a titan of cargo transport, offered him a role beneath his talents. He believed they saw his skin, not his skill, a wound that festered in silence. When he learned of the hearing, the truth hit like a thunderbolt. He'd exaggerated his flight hours to secure the job. Exposure meant ruin, but Auburn wasn't a man to surrender. He saw one path left, a final desperate act to secure his children's future, even if it meant sacrificing his soul. At 18,000 feet, the cockpit is a battlefield. Auburn retreats to the galley, his spear gun still unloaded, giving the wounded trio a heartbeat to fight back. David, the captain, his face a mask of blood and resolve, unbuckles his seatbelt, staggering toward the door. James, the first officer, fights through his paralysis, his left hand trembling on the controls. Andrew, the engineer, clings to consciousness, his vision blurring as blood drips onto his shoes. Auburn returns, spear gun raised, his voice a chilling growl.
This is a real gun. I'll kill you.
Will to survive lunges, seizing the spear before Auburn can fire. David charges, tackling him into the galley. James, his Navy instincts roaring, yanks the yoke, tilting the plane 140 degrees until it's nearly upside down. The galley transforms into a surreal arena, bodies crashing against the ceiling, papers and tools flying like shrapnel. James, his right side useless, treats the plane like a fighter jet in combat. He pushes it into a screaming dive, the speedometer pegged at 860 kilometers per hour, far beyond the plane's design. The wings shudder, metal groaning as if pleading for mercy. The maneuver is a gamble, forcing Auburn onto the defensive, but it's a razor's edge from disaster. In the galley, David and Andrew grapple with Auburn, his martial arts training, making him a relentless foe. David's ear hangs by a thread, his jaw dislocated, yet he swings a stolen hammer, landing a blow that staggers Auburn. Andrew, his strength fading, clings to the spear gun, his blood slicking the floor. The plane's dive is a descent into hell, the cockpit shaking, alarms screaming like banshees. James, half paralyzed, radios the tower. "Emergency, we've got an attempted takeover. We're wounded. Give me a vector to land. Now." The controller's voice trembles.
Flight X, you're eastbound, 12 miles out. Turn to Memphis, heading 302.
James, his voice raw, demands an ambulance and armed response.
Roger. Flight X, ambulance and SWAT are on standby. You're cleared for runway 9er. Keep talking to me.
The tower scrambles, alerting SWAT teams, fire crews, ambulances, every second a race against fate. Back in the galley, Auburn fights like a cornered beast, his eyes wild with desperation. David, his vision swimming, lands another blow with the hammer. Andrew, barely alive, pins Auburn's arm, the spear gun clattering away. The plane levels off, but it's 16 tons overweight, fuel sloshing in its belly. Landing is a suicide mission. Too much weight, too short a runway. David, limping to the cockpit, takes the controls, his hands shaking but steady. The plane's warning systems scream, but he ignores them. His focus a laser. He executes a 180-degree turn, a maneuver that defies physics, descending at a breakneck pace. The runway looms, a narrow strip of hope. David lands with a bone-rattling thud, tires screeching but holding, stopping with just 300 meters to spare. The crew, battered and bleeding, has done the impossible. Auburn, pinned to the galley floor, is handcuffed as sirens wail outside, but the question burns like a signal flare. What drove him to this abyss? Was it love for his children, twisted into madness? A vendetta against a world that broke him? Or a darkness no one could see? The crew's heroism, David's unyielding grit, James's warrior spirit, Andrew's defiant heart, turned a potential catastrophe into a legend of survival. Yet the mystery of Auburn's soul lingers, a shadow cast across the skies. In his apartment, Auburn sits alone, a note to his ex-wife scrawled in trembling ink. "I'd rather choose my own time, my own way." He leaves his will on the bed, a photo of his children tucked inside. His plan was meticulous. Hammers to mimic crash injuries, a spear gun for precision, a crash to bury the truth. He boarded Flight X, not as a crew member, but as a passenger. A quirk of fate, born from a scheduling error. His usual crew had flown 1 minute too long the day before, a 60-second slip that placed David, James, and Andrew in his path, 3 men whose courage would rewrite his story. Andrew, pulse faint from blood loss, is rushed to surgery. James, his brain pierced, faces years of therapy to walk again. David, ear stitched, jaw wired, bears scars that tell of valor. They'll never fly again, but their bond forged in blood and bravery is unbreakable. Auburn, restrained on a stretcher, faces a life behind bars, convicted of attempted piracy. His plea of temporary insanity fails. His plan, his pain, laid bare. Some believe he aimed to crash into the company's headquarters, a final act of rage. But the truth, only Auburn knows, and his silence is a locked vault.